Getting into our selected films, to begin with, Edward Yang and Hou Xiaoxian, pioneers of the Taiwanese New Cinema, join the theme of the post-Taiwan New Cinema with their explicit concern about Taipei and its urbanites in Terrorizer and Good Men, Good Women. Yang's Terrorizer explores the coincidental interactions between people in Taipei and therefore engages in a reflexive kind of storytelling discourse through the unfolding of the multitude of relationships between characters and spaces. Among the controversial characters, Zhou Yufen's husband, Li Dizhong, is a stereotype of people surviving in Taipei. He's losing out at work and in his personal life, in Frederick Jamerson's word, allegorically served as evidence for an unconscious mediation on the positioning of Taiwan as a national entity within the New World System. End of quote. Three possible endings of the film, all resulting in violent death, are unfolded through Yang's arrangement of synchronous monadic simultaneity, penetrated by Li's grief and revenge for his wife's betrayal. The synchronous editing of the gunshot, the broken vase, the police kicking open the hotel room, and the police and Zhou's sudden wake-up interweaves together multiple space-time. The temporal overlaps not only confuse our perception of the established relationships between the characters and their plotline, but also simultaneously blur the boundaries between truth, dream, and fiction, which at the end lead to an open ending allowing various interpretation. The cinematic approach of interweaving multiple space-time is also evident in Hou Xiaoxian's Good Men, Good Women. Although this film shows only a little information about the Taipei cityscape, it forcefully suggests how Taiwan in the 1990s loses its connection with the Taiwanese experience by shuttling between multiple moments in time. Different from Terrorizer's open ending that dialectically engage in a postmodern discourse, this film attempts to merge together Taiwan's past and present in order to suggest the everlasting specter of the past and its call to historical justice through the layering of Jiang Beiyu's life, such as her mourning of her husband's death in the past in black and white, and Liang Jing's reenactment of the same sequences in the present time, which is shown in color. The utilization of modern technology in these two films weave together an emerging theme of the post-Taiwan New Cinema that concerns the spectrality of Taiwanese history and the Taipei urban space. In Good Men, Good Women, a fax machine keeps sending Liang Jing from an unknown source pages of her diaries written 3 years ago, blurring Liang's perception of space-time. These memories become the specter of history, hovering between temporalities and imperceptibly advise Liang to merge her own private memories with the historical drama she has been rehearsing. Consequently, the spatial-temporal non-synchronism deriving from Liang's merging of the past and present recalls Derrida's concept of ontology, aligned with the springing awareness of the Taipei urban space. The fax machine in Good Men, Good Women turns into the Eurasian girls' phone calls in Terrorizer. While the diary pages delivered by the fax machine is taken as a symbol of the spectators of history, the Eurasian girls' phone calls imply the circumstance in which the Taipei urbanites are haunted by the rapidly mobilizing city. The cinematic remapping of Taipei increasingly configures Taipei as a globalized city, in which the rapid development and the incessant flow of transnational capital sweep away the Taiwanese historical memories. Consequently, the Taipei cityscape becomes barely recognizable and its identity hybridized and dubious. This idea is further emphasized in the postmodern liminal spaces portrayed in Tsai Ming-liang's Vive L'Amour through his noticeable subversion of the idea of home within the urban consuming space. Its opening shot expressively unfolds its attempt to transfigure Taipei into a series of dystopian spaces through its precise cinematic embodiment of Foucault's description of the mirror and the other place. The entire shot is a shot reflected by a convex surveillance mirror. It's a shot of a reflection of the shot itself, which potentially blurs our perception of the absence and presence, virtual and real, and utopias and heterotopias. Likewise, behind the surface of the mirror opens a virtual space of the actual space being reflected by the mirror and shot by the camera, in which Xiaokang is at the same time present and absent. Vive L'Amour, parallel to Terrorizer, demonstrate the sense of imprisonment of the urbanized through its portrayal of urban alienation, especially by framing the blank spiritual lives of characters drifting through the city in a state of melancholy disconnection. Similar to the Eurasian girls' phone calls joined together in the independent plot strings in Terrorizer, in Vive L'Amour, three Taipei loners with their distinct plot lines, without confronting each other, surreptitiously coexist in a vacant duplex apartment in a new high-rise building. Two of them find their temporary home there. In this sense, the idea of homes has been ironically transfigured as an alienating space in which one no longer feels emotionally attached to anyone or anything, while the living ones no longer feel emotionally attached to anyone or anything, not even their homes, as they drift through the city in a state of melancholy disconnection. The Columbarian business, a business associated with death, by contrast, ironically bears a significant sense of belonging. As part of the vocational training for those salespersons, Xiaokang's colleagues play a group activity that labels each player as one of the family members. And moreover, the slogan of the business emphasizes the feeling of being at home with the beloved ones. The temporary belonging Mei Lin obtains from her casual sex with Ah Zhong is not enough to soothe her long depressed spirit. Just as in Terrorizer, the comfort Li Zhong gets from his friend fails to stop him from committing a crime or a suicide. Along with the close-up shot of Li Zhong crying as he wakes up the next morning after his wife refused to move back home with him, the end of Vive L'Amour consists of an extended tracking shot of Mei Lin unhappily walking through a desolate park under construction, and ends with a prolonged, highly emotional close-up of Mei Lin weeping in grief. These emotional close-up, which will later be employed in connection by fate to depict Ada's sorrow for having no way out from the memory haunting him, emerges as an evident portrayal of the urbanized confined in the Taipei cityscape. Such portrayal manifests Wen Xilin's argument that Taipei city films around the turn of the century expressively depicted taboo in which discarded memories and or disoriented individuals hauntingly return and roam as ghosts in the city, and therefore align with the emerging theme that transfigured Taipei into a haunted city. Wenden's Connection by Fate described it as a political ghost film by Emily Ye and Daryl Davis, transfigured Taipei as a post-colonial city through the director's cinematic manifestation of the present past. Adopting the politics of present past, the film turns Taipei into a post-colonial city of layers of historical deposits, stratas, and inscription, by embodying the temporal present past in spatial urban palimpsests. In this sense, two edifices haunted by historical and political ghosts are employed here to illustrate the poetics of demolition through a textual doubling of the spatial palimpsest that allows the cinematically writing of the Taipei Experience to be constructed through the erasure of the Taiwanese experience. The former mayor office, although collapsing into ruins, seems to be the only site in the film inscribed with dense historical and political deposits, which becomes an appropriate absolute space in contrast to other abstract spaces. On the other hand, the construction site, bearing no historical meaning, ironically serves as a sufficient site for Ada's cognitive mapping of the city as he often drawn back to his memory of the past when he gazes at it. The ambiguous position of these two sites, both in a state of being in between, provides no absolute sense of time and space, turns Taiwan into a spatial palimpsest traversed by divergent temporalities, a spectral liminal state perfect for a ghost. Namely, our two protagonists, Ade and Ma Li, a walking dead man and a ghost. Grasping these lines of thought, the post-Taiwanese cinema's cinematic remapping of Taipei, which calls for a radical orientation of temporalities, should be read as a collective critique of the problematic of global capitalism. Their utilization of the poetics of demolition as a reflection to Taipei's rapid urbanization and globalization deploys an innovative perspective that Taipei can become a site for temporal and spatial palimpsests, on which the Taipei Experience can emerge through the erasure of the Taiwanese experience. Therefore, projected through the Taipei urban cinema's diverse treatments of the Taipei cityscape and its urbanites, this Rotopian city, composed of a series of postmodern liminal spaces, appears to be not only a treasure metropolis of past memories and history, but also a field manifesting the spectrality of history that introduces an alternative route through which the Taiwanese national identity can be reimagined and renegotiated, and appropriately paves the way to position Taiwan within the New World system as an independent entity